What's up, everyone? It's Brandon with Flesh and Blood Brothers, and I'm back with another deck tech video. I took this Rhinar deck to a local armory event last night, and I had a lot of fun playing it. There was 18 players. I finished 5th, and I could have gotten 4th if I rolled a 4 instead of 1 on my Scabskin Leathers, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, basically this is my my take on Rhinar right now as we approach the end of the Tales of Aria meta. The Briar ban, or the Briar Errata, and the Plunder Run ban, and the Ball Lightning ban are looming over our heads in 2 days. So here's what I was packing. So of course we got Rhinar, and we have the Mandible Claws. I also have the Romping Club in here, but I ran Claws in all 4 of my matchups last night. I have the Skullhorn. I wish I had Arcanite Skullcap, but I don't, so I have the Skullhorn. No Rune Gloves coming against Viscerai. Findale Spring Tunic I played every match. Scabskin Leathers, of course. Goliath Gauntlet, and then I have a Romping Club just in case. But again, I played Claws in all 4 of my matchups last night. And real quick, for those of you unfamiliar with Scabskin Leathers, every turn you can roll a 6-sided die, and then you get action points equal to half that number rounded down. So basically what this means is if you roll a 2 or 3, you break even, you're back to 1, nothing happens. You roll a 4, you gain 2 action points. You roll a 5, you gain 2 action points. And if you roll a 6, you gain 3 action points. So the only downside of this is when you roll a 1, you pretty much have to just pass your turn. And in my 4th game, I was 2-1 going into the last round, and I had lethal damage in my hands, but I needed to roll a 4 to perform both attacks to win the game. Rolled the dice, and I unfortunately rolled a 1, so that ended my day, and I went 2-2 instead of 3-1. So Scabskin Leathers, you live by it, you die by it. I only had to roll it 3 times in 4 games, so it's just there in your back pocket. But it's also very useful that it blocks for 2 and then blocks for 1. So get a lot of good use out of those boots. And yeah, like I said, my deck favored the Claws. Because of all the control, the Bravos, the Prisms, everyone running around trying to control the game. So I'm just going in there, ripping my Claws. So let's get into the deck. For my Reds, I have 2 Command and Conquer. I would run 3, but I only own 2, so that's good enough. Command and Conquer is one of my favorite attacks in the deck, and it pairs well with Goliath Gauntlet, so pretty much every time I Command and Conquer them, if they have something in their arsenal, I'm going to Goliath Gauntlet, give it +2, coming for 8. So yeah, Command and Conquer, great card. It'll probably be around forever, hopefully. And then we got 3 Alpha Rampage. This card is pretty insane, especially towards the end of the game when your opponent's low on health. So basically, it's an attack for 9, and you discard a card to pay for it. And you also have a built-in Intimidate. So if you barraging beatdown an Alpha Rampage and discard Massacre, for example, that intimidates their entire hand and you can rip through for full damage. So excellent card. Not too often I throw this willy-nilly. I usually save this for the end of the game and smash them and get the win. And then Massacre ×3. This card is amazing. It pairs well with Alpha Rampage. So when you discard Massacre to pay the cost of a Brute Attack action card, for example, Alpha Rampage, you get another Intimidate trigger. So Intimidate, and then from Rhinar's ability, you trigger another Intimidate. So you can take 3 cards out of their hand and seal the game. And especially if you have a barraging beatdown that takes the 4th card out of their hand and they have nothing to defend against you, and you just whack them and win. The other great thing about Massacre is during a Bloodrush Bellow turn, if you can pay for it, it attacks for 6 +2 with Intimidate, and then +2 from Bloodrush Bellow's buff. So that is a total of 10 damage off of 1 card, which is pretty insane. Coming in behind those is the more tame Pack Hunt. What I like about Pack Hunt is it's just a 2 cost for 6, and then it has a built-in Intimidate trigger, so there's a lot of value in this card. A lot of turns you can just block, 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 and then just pitch a yellow to play Pack Hunt to kind of put some pressure back on your opponent ever so slightly so you don't take 2 bad turns in a row. And yeah, it's just all around great value card. Savage Feast is something that I never really included in my Rhinar decks, but it's enticing because it's cheap. One, you do have to discard a random card. So basically you hope to get an Intimidate, and then when your random discard is a card with 6 or more attack, you draw a card. So when you're blocking, you're blocking, you're blocking. You can Tunic Resource, throw this down, discard a 6 attack, get an Arsenal card, and put it in the arsenal. So it's a good refill through the game to kind of put you back in the driver's seat next turn. So it performed well. I didn't whiff on it once. I think I threw it twice and hit it both times with the effect. So found it to be a good card. And then, of course, we got 3 Barraging Beatdowns. This card will win you the game. Basically, costs nothing, has go again, an Intimidate trigger, and then while your next attack isn't defended by, if it's defended by less than 2 non-equipment cards, it gains +4. So like we said earlier with the Alpha Rampage Intimidate combo, they won't have any cards in their hand to block, so you'll come through for 13, which will see the victory. So great use of this card. And also, if your turn is just straight up Barraging Beatdown, pitch a yellow for Claw, it forces the opponent to take 2 cards out of their hand unless they want to take 7. So amazing card. You love to see it every time you pull it. And then I main board 3 Sink Belows because of blocking for 4, plus your equipment is useful on some dominate attacks sometimes. And it helps filter your hand. So if you don't have that critical 6 attack that you need for your next turn, you can put a card at the bottom and draw one and hope to fill that gap. So with that, we'll go to the yellows. Weird. So the yellows in Rhinar, you can see there's a lot. More yellows than reds, actually. So the point of this is your claws cost 2 to swing, and most of the time they'll have go again. So you want to have a lot of yellows to pay for those claw attacks. And also there's a significant amount of yellow cards with 6 or more attack power. So here we have 3 Recuromp. But yeah, don't really play this too often. Maybe I think I threw it as an actual attack once in 4 games. But mostly it's, a yellow, and it's a 6 attack or greater, and it blocks for 3. So good card. And yeah, can't say anything bad about it. 3 Barraging Bighorns. Again, this is not a card you really throw too often. I threw this once in 4 games as well. But basically, if you do, it costs 2, attacks for 6. And then when you play this, you discard a random card. And then when it's defended by less than 2 non-equipment cards, it has go again. So if you play Barraging Beatdown and Barraging Bighorn, incredibly likely you're going to go again. And then if you discarded a card with 6 attack, you can swing your claws twice. Worst case, once if you don't have the resources. So yeah, good card. But yeah, it fits the criteria of 6 attack, pitches for 2, blocks 3. Beast Within, this card is risky. If you discard Beast Within as one of your effects, like for example, if I discard Beast Within to play Barraging Bighorn, you go off the top of your deck, lose a life, go off the top of your deck until you find a 6 attack and put it in your hand. So really, really good when you're trying to just go ham on a turn. But sometimes it can cost you like 3 or 4 life if your deck is stacked against you. I didn't use this effect. I used it for blocking in my matchups because I didn't really need to take the risk and use its effect. But it's nice to have in your back pocket. 3 Riled Up, mainly for the purpose of blue pitch, 6 attack, 3 block. If you're having a turn where you're just blocking out, you can pitch a blue and just throw this for 6, which isn't too bad. So yeah, kind of like Recuromp. I can't really say anything bad about it. It just fits the meat and potatoes of pitch for 2, attack for 6, block 3. Same thing with Savage Swing. Costs 1, but you have to discard a random card to play it. But yeah, pitches for 2, attacks for 6, blocks for 3, more meat and potatoes. And then Smash Instinct. is a card I like a lot. I would run the red, but the reds I already have enough in this build. So basically, pitches for 2, attacks for 6, blocks 3. But if you actually want to swing it, it costs 3 and it has an Intimidate trigger. So you can play Barraging Beatdown, pitch a blue, and then play this, and you have 2 Intimidates. So very likely it gets buffed, or it forces 2 cards out of their hand and you still leak damage. So yeah, it's a good card. I like it. And then, of course, we got our Bloodrush Bellow. This is the card that wins you the game most of the time. So what you want to be doing is just blocking conservatively and then just throwing 6 attacks on your turn until you come up to a Bloodrush Bellow. And that's when you get your hand ready. And then it only costs 1, and you 1000% must discard a card with 6 or more attack, because that'll allow you to draw 2 cards and go again. Otherwise, you're just doing it for nothing. So, yeah, this is insane, because what it gives you is a claw for 5, a claw for 5, and then an attack for around 8. So you average about 18 damage on your Bloodrush Bellow turns, and it just really takes your opponent out of the game for a little bit and puts you on the offensive. And yeah, that card will win you the game. And if you have like 2 or more good Bloodrush Bellow turns in a game, there's a good chance you're winning. And then rounding out the yellows, we have 3 Barraging Beatdowns in yellow. So yeah, it's free, it blocks for 3. And then it buffs your next attack by 3 if they don't defend with 2 more non-equipment cards. And has an Intimidate trigger. So awesome card. And the blues. I play a lot of blues. You want to play anywhere from like 12 to 18 blues in Rhinar, because you're always resource starved. So blue Wrecker Romp is amazing because it's the only blue attack that it still has that value of a 6. So this is all the time pitching. And then when you need to, you can discard it at random, and it has that 6, and it still blocks for 3. So amazing card. Can't say anything bad about it at all. 3 blue Savage Feast is another thing I'm playing with. So most of the time, this card's just in there to pitch for 3, let's be honest, or block for 3 if I need it. If I need to actually throw it, I'll throw the red version. But if, a hand comes up where I have, a Tunic Resource, 1 card in this, I'll just throw this out there to refill my arsenal and move on with my next turn. But yeah, good card. Mostly use it for the blue pitch here. Sand Sketch Plan. This card can get you into some trouble if you're too overzealous with it. But it's a blue that pitches for 3 and blocks for 3 first and foremost. And then you can search any card in your deck. So most of the time, grabbing a Beast Within is a good idea if you really need to push through those last few attacks. Or you can get pretty much any 6 attack that you need at the moment. You do have to discard a card at random from your hand afterwards, so use with caution. But most of the time, blue pitch blocks for 3. Awakening Bellow. This is a card I never really cast. It's another just blue 3, pitch 3, block 3. So, but it's pretty cool. If you need an Intimidate, it just costs 1 and has an Intimidate trigger and just buffs an attack by 1. So, if you need an Intimidate to push through the last damage at the end of the game, it's there for you because you're pitching it at the bottom. So, yeah, something I'm playing with. And then 3 Barraging Beatdown blues, of course. You can't not play it. You have to have 9 of these in your deck to make Rhinar go. And then finally, I run 2 Savage Swing. I see people run one, which is fine. I just like to have 2 so it can come up a little bit more often. And then, yeah, I can always pitch it for 3 and put it at the bottom of my deck for the end of the game. When they're holding on for dear life, I can scum out some damage against them and maybe kill them that way if I need to. So that's the main deck. I believe that's like 61 cards. And here is my sideboard. So Energy Potion I bring in against Oldhim and other matches where I think I need more blue pitch, or I'll need just resources on the board to go off on a Bloodrush Bellow turn. Breakneck Battery I like a lot. Cost 2, attacks for 6. You have to discard a random card, but if you attack discard a 6 or more, you get Go Again. So this is kind of good because you can do a Breakneck Battery into some claws attacks. But the problem is it costs 2 and you discard a card, so it's very unlikely you're going to be able to play this and swing 2 claws unless your opponent leaves you with a 4-card hand that's saucy. So I leave this in my sideboard, and actually I want to use this when I use Romping Club. This is the more realistic play. So you can pitch 2, play this, Go Again, and then pitch 2 to swing for club, and it'll swing for 5 instead of 4. So that's 11 damage on an attack and a club swing with 3 cards in your hand. So that comes in when I use the club. That's amazing with the club. 2 Pulping. This card is pretty controversial. It doesn't block, which is its main weakness. But you pitch 2, it attacks for 6, and then when you attack, you draw and then discard a card from your hand. If a 6 attack is discarded, it gains Dominate, and you get an Intimidate trigger from Rhinar. So I bring this in versus Oldham and other slower decks, control decks, so I can just really beat them to a pulp and get that damage through and get some momentum going my way. Because when it's defended by less than 2 non-equipment cards, it gains Go Again. So you can pretty realistically Pulping and Claw. So yeah, I played it. It came up twice. I played it twice, and both times I discarded a 6 and was able to go off pretty well. So I like that against the control matchups. Not every matchup. That's why it's in my sideboard. 3 Fate Foreseen. I bring this in against Dorinthea and Bravo and other decks that have a lot of Dominate. So I just want to have a little bit more defensive reactions in there to suck up some damage. And with the Opt one, you can look at the top of your deck and see if there's a 6 attack waiting for you when you need it. And then I have 2 Arc Smash. Arc Smash is specifically for Dash. You don't see Dash too often, but having it is very beneficial because the only time I've played Dash against this deck, I got assaulted with pistol shots because I didn't have any Arc Smashes at the time. So from that moment on, I put 2 in just for the insurance. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I went 2-2, but like I said, I would have went 3-1 if Scabskin's roll did not betray me. As far as my matchups, I smashed a Prism in round 1. It was not even close. I think I had like 26 health left. And I had some crazy Bloodrush Bellows, and I was just popping Phantasms all day. Second round against Dorinthea, it came down to the wire. She had 4 health when I died. But I got stuck in a situation where they had a singing steelblade, and they could have pulled out any card they needed to win the game there, so there wasn't anything I could do. Legit loss. Round 3, I went up against Oldham and brought my claws out and just tore into him. He threw a couple big attacks at me, but I just took them so I could come back even harder, and I ended up winning the game with like 18 health left. I had a disgusting Bloodrush Bellow into Alpha Rampage, and I was able to intimidate pretty much this whole hand for lethal. And then again, like I said, the last round I played a Viscerai. The Viscerai Drew busted. He played all 3 of his Mortar Tides, 2 Sonatas, and all his Read the Runes, and all 3 of his become the Arknights. So there wasn't really much I could do, but at the end I had him at 15 health and I had 8. And he had like 10 rune chance on the board, so I knew it was my last turn. And I had lethal in hands, but again, I needed a 4 or higher on the Scabskins, and I rolled a 1. And that effectively ended the game right there. So you live by the dice, you die by the dice. But I had a lot of fun playing Rhinar at a big event, local armory. And yeah, like I said, went 2-2, should have been 3-1 if luck was not against me, but that's the game. Still finished 5th out of 18, so I'm very happy about that. So anyways, let me know what you think about the deck. I know not having Skullcap is not ideal, but I did have a lot of fun with what I had. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys learned more about Rhinar. If you have any questions, let me know. But in the meantime, consider joining the Patreon if you want an inside look about more strategy and investment and making money off of cracking packs in this game. And until next time, I will see you in the next video.